Before we begin the show, a quick commercial from one of our sponsors.
This is not financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly speculative and extremely high risk. Do your own research and consult a licensed professional.
As many of you know, Loot and I do a cryptocurrency podcast, and we want to tell you about a coin that is coming out. If you're into cryptocurrencies and are familiar with using DeFi, check out Equity. The pre-sale starts on Friday the 7th at 9 a.m. We expect it to sell out pretty fast. It's an awesome project with high potential. Be sure to check it out. A link is in the show notes. And with that, the show will begin.
Hey y'all, this is the Aqua Bear from Atlantis After Dark, and you're listening to WROL Broadcast.
Welcome to WROL Broadcast. I am Hate Mail, and today we are in the Hawk's Nest with Hawkguy.
Hawkman!
Hey.
And Mr. Zubaz.
I like how it changes every month depending on the guest now.
And Burger, unfortunately, isn't going to make it. His poor puppy dog is going through a little bit of a rough time. So we are going to talk about the new tunes. I actually took him to L1. Hawkguy took him to L5. You didn't upgrade these yet, did you, Zubaz?
I have unlocked them and geared them, but I haven't really used them much.
Okay. So Hawkguy we'll be leaning on. And Burger took him to L5. I'll reiterate some of his thoughts. He may or may not join us. And we do have a spy in the listening in that may or may not weigh in on comments. I'm sure you'll recognize his voice if he decides to pop in. But with that, we are on a tight time frame, so we're 45 minutes away from pro wrestling for Zubaz. And fortunately, DC Legends has a pro wrestler, Macho Man Savitar. So we will... let's start with him. Why don't you give us the background lore, Zubaz?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting month because neither of the characters actually have that much history. I think, honestly, Savitar, he is a guy that I had to go back and look up like when his appearances were and actually go back and read the issues for this podcast, just because he's not a guy that appears very often. He's got like maybe 15 total appearances. They're all condensed into like 3 short storylines. He did just play like an incredibly important role in the most recent Flash annual, but I won't spoil that in case people aren't caught up. And it does spoil kind of some really huge stuff in the Wally mythos, at least. So I'll leave that all to be. If you are interested in Savitar, check out that. He's a guy who was in an airplane that got struck by lightning, and that's pretty much how he gets his powers. He is very, very fast. I would say that, we whenever we talk about how fast the speedsters are, you just kind of base it on like what kind of feats they've performed. I would put him definitely behind Wally and Barry, and probably the reverse flashes. But like that's it. Like he's definitely faster than Black Flash. He's definitely faster than Godspeed. Definitely faster than Jay Garrick. So he's really, really up there. The other main comment that I want to make is I have absolutely not the faintest idea why the game made him like 10 feet tall.
That was my first question.
He's a regular guy. He's always been a regular guy. Now, granted, like the one thing that he has in common with his appearance in the CW show, which is how most people know him, and I think why he was requested for a while, is just how they defeat him. They always lock him in the Speed Force. And I don't know if the game was like, oh, well, he's been locked in the Speed Force for a couple decades, so maybe it stretched him out a bit. But like, he's literally just a regular dude that gets in a lightning-struck airplane. So I'm not sure why he's bigger than Darkseid, but that is what they gave us.
Well, he definitely looks interesting. I know all the comments you see are people wanting to know if he's going to get the CW skin, which I'll be surprised if they don't do that, just based on how many people are asking for it.
I would be surprised if they would, just because we don't, as far as I know, we don't have any skins in the entire game that come from the CW.
That's true, and then they're going to have rights issues too, actually.
Right, exactly. That would be kind of a big departure from what we get. And, even ones that were timed with CW releases, like when we got Black Lightning, when we saw some other characters come in like that, they never looked like the characters from the CW. And so I would be very, very surprised if we actually got that kind of metal armor skin, especially because it's also a completely different guy. Like the Savitar that we have in game is not the Savitar from the Flash series.
Hawkguy, do you have any comments on the lore before we get into the kits?
Not really. Zubaz pretty much nailed it. I mean, that's pretty much who he is. I might put him above a couple of the reverse reverse Flash, but not Zoom. As far as overall speed, but I mean that's pretty much right where it's at.
So how about let's move on to his kit as a character. What just your overall impression of him? What would you say as an L5 user?
He's going to be a great counter tune, but he's not necessarily somebody that's going to be plug and play. He does really, really well against speed up comps. He can completely take over a match against Wally West. And he also does pretty well against Stargirl, Aquaman, Kyle, anybody that's going to be putting out those immunities. Because he'll call assist constantly. Or call himself to assist. But his damage overall, his 3 actually hits pretty decent. But his 1 and his 2, I mean, when I first streamed him, I was... you can go back and watch the VODs where, I was going back to make sure that I finished bringing him, made sure I had gear all up on him, make sure I took all my legendaries, because it just felt like his damage was that of a much lower tune than G11 gear, or level 80 G11.
Shout out to new streamer Hawkguy, by the way.
Appreciate that.
Are you going to be streaming regularly, or is this was that like a one-off, or?
Oh no, I'm going to try to stream pretty regularly. I just I've been meaning to do it, and finally this month I really wanted to push in Siege, so I said, okay, I'm going to get all the tools, and went ahead and unlocked the new tunes with the starter packs, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I did notice facing him, and I wussed out and brought Spectre because it was Burger's L5 Savitar, and he had an obscene amount of strength ups really fast. I mean, granted, I used Wally, but still, it was pretty scary how fast he gained those.
And he does hit pretty decent when he's able to steal the speed ups, because he also gets the strength ups stacked with him. But again, as long as you're prepared for him, he's pretty easy to counter. But he's one of those tunes that if you walk in and you don't know what you're doing against him, the match is going to end real quick, and you're going to just go, "What happened?"
Yeah, he's I guess he does seem like he's pretty decent. How does he handle against like Black Flash?
I haven't really used him against Black Flash yet, because Black Flash is kind of a direct counter to him, just because he keeps the turn meter from being achieved.
Yeah.
And if he can't go, then he's not going to. He can have all the strength ups in the world, but it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, he seems.
Black Flash gains his immunity passively, right? So that's not going to trigger Savitar.
Yes. Yeah, that's in his first passive. But Savitar is also kind of squishy, so I've been kind of afraid to bring him against Black Flash teams, just because I feel like Once Black Flash gets that turn, that's gonna be the end of Savitar.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in him. I mean, granted, I'm only using him at L1, so I can't tell how good he's going to be overall. But just from what I've seen of you in Burgers, he seems like you said, he's a good counter tune, and he has a place. And I'm okay with them making characters like this because you need just characters that are just a tool. They're not going to, take over a match every single, fit in every single team. We know when we have 130, 140. How many characters do we have now? It's a lot. It's a whole
172.
lot. Holy crap. That's even more than I thought. I keep saying I'm going to do it. I was going to do it at the end of the new year. I was going to do it at episode 400. I wanted to do like an around the DC Legends and then do like each affinity. But when I looked at how many tunes there were, it just seemed like it would take my entire life to do.
When we get to 200, I'm gonna rank them all. When we get to 200,
are we gonna get a Zubaz tier list?
It's not a tier list. It's a 1v1 ranking.
I do want to do that.
Gonna finish dead last.
I really want to do that eventually. I just don't know when I'd ever have the time.
M4 has one, I think. M4, I don't know if he's ever gone past like 50, but he's definitely like ranked every tune in the game.
Well, I wanted to do a review of every character, and I was going to like set a timer where we can only talk about each person, and then like go around the horn, and then each person takes a tune, and you have 60 seconds. But I mean,
60. It's like a 3-hour podcast.
That's what I mean. It would. I break it into 3. We would do one. We'd do like mystical affinity, then we'd do energy affinity, and have like 2 or 3 people, and then everybody like takes turns.
No, you get 10 seconds. State your case in 10 seconds.
You would have just, like everybody pick. Actually, that might work. We might do that because 3 hours. That's doable. I mean, break it up over a couple period of time. That way, because with so many characters that nobody ever talks about. So.
Dr. Poison,
if you do it over.
Who was that? Mystery Man?
Dr. Poison, because Josh said so.
Yeah, I mean, bring up the S tier Dr. Poison, but, and then, we could have him talk about Arcus and plead his case as to why he's not B tier, but anyway, back to Savitar. Let's talk legendary order because I got to update my sheet here. What would you say his kind of first legendary order should be? I'm leaning towards his 5, but that's just me.
Personally, I prefer his 4.
Actually, yeah, you're right. 4 has got to be. You're right.
Because he's got to be able to deal the damage, and he's got his stack strength ups to do so.
Yeah.
From there, I'd probably go to his 3. It's his most powerful move. It's the only one that actually does serious damage without being not having strength up stacked on top of it. So getting that extra, or being able to apply the crit damage downs.
Yeah, but he would do it after he uses the ability. So would it be that impactful? I was thinking it's 5 just because then he would be attacking out of turn at least.
Yeah, I probably would go as 5. You're right there. My thinking on the 3 was actually that he's not going to kill anybody with it, so it's going to allow you to have a little bit more survivability with the crit damage downs on the opposing team once they get their turn.
Well, and then if you do his 5, then if he's using his 1, then he's getting the crit damage ups before he hopefully gets to use his 3. If you go second, anyway.
Yeah, but that's the thing is he's going to be a speedster, so he's going to be going.
That's true.
At the beginning of the match. But yeah, I mean, I think you could makes a pretty solid case. You might go 4 or 5.
4, 5, 1, and then his 2 or 3. The empowered stamina ups. I mean, you say he's squishy. So I don't know, but I don't know how often do you open with his 2 a lot or no?
Normally, I will open with his 3. So far from when I'm using him, just because I can put quite a dent on reds.
Okay.
Which a lot of times so far in Siege I've been using him with Red Hood, so it's able to put enough damage down to where you can get a quick kill.
Yeah, and I think he's pretty good. Like you could get by with just his 4 if you had to. So he's probably usable at L1. I took his 5, of course, before I knew better. But we'll have his event here in tomorrow. Is it tomorrow night?
No, Friday.
Friday. Okay, so it's soon. It sales tomorrow, though, right?
Yeah, sales.
I was like, I appreciate so much that they give us all this free stuff, but God, why would you not give like the 230 free energy that we got today on the start of that event?
Well, because they want you to buy. So it's their way of saying, we're going to give you something nice, but we're not going to give it to you when you actually want to use it.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Sorry, my dog is going crazy in the background. I don't know if you can hear him or not. But...
actually, no.
I can hear the claws tapping.
Oh, yeah, that's what... Yeah, okay.
Or...
I thought that was something else. So any characters you think he pairs well with or anything before we move on from Savitar?
I mean, the obvious first squishy tune, Aquaman, Varda, anybody that's going to give him a little bit more survivability. For the most part, I've been using him just as a counter to Wally for Siege anyway. Outside of Siege, I've tried him a bunch, but there's just so many blues that just come and just knock his socks off. It gets kind of frustrating trying to make him work.
Speaking of blues that knock people's socks off, our supposed counter to Spectre, if you want to give us a little bit of a background, Mr. Zubaz.
Sure. Yeah, Peacemaker. So again, not a huge character in DC history. He was actually originally a Charlton character. That's where when DC kind of bought a different older publishing company, that's where we got Captain Atom, Blue Beetle, The Question, a bunch of other guys. They didn't do a ton with him. He was a major influence if you're familiar with Watchmen. That's where Alan Moore got the comedian, was basically supposed to be kind of a hybrid of Peacemaker with like a Captain America type. And then post-Crisis, they gave him kind of a gritty backstory. He got his own like solo series. It was only maybe 4 or 5 issues where they made, kind of out of nowhere, they made his father a Nazi. And in his helmet, that like, weird helmet that he's got, he would speak to the ghosts of people that he's killed, which like normally I'd be like, oh, that's a really cool thing, with the exception that DC, that's like a bizarrely common thing that they give to characters. Like Katana does that, Ragman does that, like talking to the dead souls of individuals you've killed seems like it should be restricted to like one character, but we have at least 3 that do it. He dies in the comics, spoiler alert. He comes back kind of first as like a machine type guy, then as a rapper. Then he goes to be more of like a Marine type character, and he feuds with The Rock, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton. He finally kind of settles in Hollywood, and now he's got his own show coming out this month in January on HBO Max.
I couldn't tell in the movie how much I liked him or not. Like I was really torn on if I liked him or not. I do like that I like what his kit is supposed to do. It doesn't do it quite as well as I had hoped, but Hawkguy, any lore comments, and then if you want to give us your initial reaction to his kit in game in use.
I just point out in the most recent comics, they've been kind of copying what they did in the movie, where he's kind of being set up as a foil to Rick Flag, which I think is a really good direction that they've taken the character in the last, couple of years here.
Yeah, they're doing a lot more with him now. But I mean, they always do that whenever the character gets like a movie or a show. That's why we're seeing a lot more blood sport in the comics out of nowhere. Same thing with Peacemaker. And so he's got a pretty cool run going on right now in Suicide Squad. If anybody is like looking about where they could find him, he's Suicide Squad. He did a crossover in Swamp Thing, so he's got some stuff coming on now.
So in game, what do you think? How do you like him, Hawkguy?
I'm coming around on him a bit. He's a toon that I think is really suffering from expectations. As soon as people saw his kit, they said, "Oh, here comes the Spectre killer. Spectre's not going to be a problem anymore." So far, he hasn't been that. Again, his damage, he's got to be able to ramp up. But when his main point for existing is to fight Spectre, having a toon that has the buff to do damage, kind of counterintuitive. That being said, I'm coming around on him. I think that he's going to be a solid toon, but I just don't think that he's going to be what people expect. So that they just really kind of need to tamper their expectations with him.
Yeah, he's got a couple problems with his kit. The first big thing is that when you use his 2, he has his base level, he has a 40% chance to gain 1 damage immunity, which when it's fully ranked, that goes to 75%?
On which one you said?
His Always Ready, his 2, that gives him damage immunity.
Yeah, 70%, yep.
So if it's at 70%, which I did not upgrade mine, and I don't think I'm ever going to upgrade mine, which it's a shame because he gets more strength ups, or crit chance ups. Yeah, he gets strength ups and crit chance ups, which helps him do damage, but then he gains the damage immunity, and if he gets hit by Spectre, he won't counter, which kind of, negates part of his kit, which I'm really upset by, because it'd be so much better if it was just death immune or something different. But I do think at L1, he's been better than I expected against, if I'm fighting an L4 Spectre, if he's ramped moderately, which doesn't take a whole heck of a lot, he will kill him or do enough damage that you can finish him off pretty easily. So he's a character I'm still contemplating taking RB5 because I'm so sick of Spectre. And I think he's somewhat decent against him. And I like his kit. He does a lot of things that I like. Purging buffs, can't miss, immune to stun. He just does a lot of stuff. So I'm strongly considering him. I'm going to take him to L5, play with him a lot, and then may consider taking him up. Burger's come around on him quite a bit, is planning on taking him RB4. So I do think he's not a bad character. He just, like you said, we all were so expecting him to just walk in and make Spectre his bitch and it's going to take a lot more than that to get Spectre.
I'm curious, when he gets released, or if you or somebody else is going to do some testing, just to see if he's working properly. And the only reason I say that, and I mentioned this in a chat, was I got locked into a match yesterday. I was fighting somebody, I won't mention who, somebody's L5 Peacemaker, and I only wound up with Aquaman and Kyle left. And Peacemaker's he's a little bit on the slower side. Aquaman ramps so much with his speed, so he was getting just turn after turn after turn, and every single one of Aquaman's active moves buffs. And so because he was doing that, he was buffing Peacemaker into oblivion. I mean, I'm talking had 40, maybe more strength ups on Peacemaker. And so when Peacemaker finally got his turn to go, I was expecting him to one-shot Aquaman or at least do a ton of damage. And now granted, I have an RB5 Aquaman, but he maybe took half of a shield, maybe 50% HP, 1 bar away from Aquaman. So I don't know if there's something going on where maybe his strength ups are not applying appropriately, or maybe they have the wrong type of damage on his basic or something like that. But I think that would be worth testing when he's out in the wild, basically.
I saw your message about that, and I messaged Reeve and asked her to have them look into it to see if it's bugged, because it doesn't seem like that should be the case.
Have you guys, like, when he gets a bunch of strength ups, have you noticed him doing more damage, or?
I have at L1. I don't know about you, Hawkguy.
Yeah, I mean, that's been part of my problem with him is his damage seems inconsistent. Even when he has a lot of strength ups, it seems like he should hit for more. And then there's times where he doesn't have a ton of strength ups, and he hits for good damage.
It's very strange.
Maybe it's just he needs a crit to do good damage. I don't know. There's been so little playtime. It's one of those things I think we'll have to explore further.
Hawkguy, how does his AOE that like purges the immunities? I know that they always give us the percentages where it's like 50%. How does that feel like it's triggering about half the time?
It feels like it's triggering, less than 75% for me.
Okay.
And that's actually something that Hate just kind of reminded me of a bit. One of the things with him too, just like Savitar, he is squishy. He dies relatively easy, which, it's made playtesting him a little bit frustrating at times, because you try to set him up for success and, and then you finally get him ramped up and, oh, well, now he's dead.
Yeah, he stayed alive a little better than I was expecting at L1, but my expectations are low because it's L1, which I really wanted to take him up and higher, but I decided to not go too crazy just yet. I'll just wait for a sale. Let's talk legendary order real quick before we move on. I'm not sure. I guess if you're not building him to be a Spectre counter, he's going to have two different builds. But if you're doing a Spectre counter, I feel like his 5 has to go first. Do you agree or disagree on that?
Yeah, I put his 5 first. Really I kind of group them together. I think, his sweet spot's going to be L3.
Okay.
I would look at his 5, his 4, and his 1 being his must-haves. And then his 2 and his 3 are more just kind of nice to have around, but not necessarily necessary.
See, I kind of thought his 3 was really good because 3 buffs on every character being removed seems like a pretty strong skill, even if you're not facing Spectre.
But again, it's on his 3, so you're removing 3 buffs on every character how many times, and with the number of tunes that just have out of control buffs, 3's not as mighty as it could have been.
Now, do you see his does that 3, is it 75% chance to remove 3, or is it always remove 3?
It's always remove 3, from what I've seen. 75% chance, that's just for the positive immunities, and it looks like it's the 3 buffs are getting removed every time.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
So if you're listening to this, if you want him to have a better chance of countering Spectre, you may not want to ring his second skill always ready, ever. I'm not sure it's worth the 2 extra strength ups or crit ups. Even though you want the damage immunity against everyone but Spectre, but against Spectre, you want to get hit. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Hawkguy? Would you, if you could do it over, would you ring it?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't ring it. I gotta kind of throw some shade at you right here now, hate mail, but that's kind of an oversight by the
I know
the balance team.
I yelled at us for us. I don't know how we missed that, but when I read it and it just didn't occur to me that when he's attacked, I thought attacked means attacked. It doesn't matter if he's damaged. I was thinking the verbiage if it was damaged. So I completely missed that one.
I'll give you that. The verbiage can be very misleading. Like sometimes when it says on every turn, it just means on his turn.
Yeah. So yeah, we completely missed that.
Yeah.
Took you a second too, guys.
Fail. So one other topic I wanted to mention that's unrelated to these characters is we got a new sale today a copy of our Christmas sale, which is the Dr. Poison sale, and oh my god, DC Legends, what are you doing to us? That it's a great sale, $75 for 7 rebirth ticket tokens, but then you can get 15 more, which people with a problem, like me and M4, who you heard M4 earlier in the call, we've been messaging back and forth about how bad this is for us. Because it just got.
Do you think it's going to be a monthly thing now?
Why wouldn't they?
I mean, the gates are
Well,
open.
the only
so it
reason
makes-
I guess my just the only thing that makes me like a little skeptical is like, why are the gates open, right? They kept them closed for so long, and so like, why are they open now?
Because
I mean, maybe they counted up the number of tunes that are in the game and went, "Hey, we need more rebirth crystals for these guys."
well, yeah. Think about it. The gates. I mean, they're really. I mean, it feels like a lot because we're so used to being starved, but opening these gates, how many rebirths does that allow us 1 month now, M4? I know you've done the math already. That gives us 2 more than we
Depends
could
on
get
what-
before. So now you can get 6. So you could take one character. So you get 2 new characters per month. You can take one character, RB5, and then put a rebirth on like one other character. So you'll never run out of characters.
Yeah, and that's true.
I hope this leads to something because the last time they opened the gates on LE, we got rebirth, right? So I hope this is the setup for something.
But do we really want something past rebirth?
I do.
I mean,
So
you know, 5,000 shards plus 50 rebirth crystals isn't enough for you.
Not anymore. I mean, I want something different. I don't want RB6 or RB7. But I am concerned about...
too, like we just got that sale, you know, the Siege Head Start sale or whatever it's called, where they still value a rebirth crystal at $20.
Well, and this is better value because you get a lot.
So it's like,
it is.
why? I guess if we knew that this was going to come every month, why would you ever buy that first sale?
Well, I think most
it
people...
depends on the characters. And
Maybe.
the one thing that's different with this compared to the December sale is that the December one had gems. This one doesn't.
Yeah, this
Right.
has Legendary Essence. But you do get 480 shards per character, which if it's a good character...
Oh,
that's-
is it more? Is it more?
Yeah, so then when it gets to the $99 one, it's 480 shards plus 40,000 Legendary Essence plus
Which
5
we
rebirth
don't care
crystals.
about.
Yeah, I don't care about the legend, but the 400... I mean, like...
480 is a lot.
For an S tier character,
So
it's
let's-
pretty good.
Let's say we're looking at a pattern here, hypothetically, right? This would be the month of October, the 2 reworks, the one that didn't get a 6-day.
Oh, that's so smart.
So hypothetically, it's like, okay, maybe next month, if this is a thing that they're going to continue, we'd be looking at like a Nightwing sale for this.
Which I don't care about, but...
Good
No,
thing
but,
Bucky
you know.
already has his IRB5 stick, so he's not going to be interested in this.
So that would be interesting if they just like, it's like, okay, every month you're going to get one 6-day from the reworks, and the other one you're going to have to wait basically an extra month, but we'll give you a crazy rebirth token sale where you can pick up, 500 of their shards.
It's going to be so painful to buy this if I already have the character RB5. Which I always, like, when I buy the Siege Head Start, when I don't care about any of the 4 tunes, or worse, I have more than RB5 shards for all 4 of them, which has happened I can't remember what month it is. But that really hurts.
Yeah. I mean, that and granted, that's just pure speculation on my part. I don't know why they would just kind of randomly pick Dr. Poison sort of out of nowhere.
It's not random because they listen to Josh. That's why.
Well, the only thing I don't like about this is I finally, thanks to Ole, finally got to where my months have been very reasonable for quite a long time now. And this will make it unreasonable again.
I think they noticed, hey, your spending pattern, and that's why they came up with
Well,
it.
I think this is their solution to Tapjoy. They're like, well, here, Tapjoy will get them to pay for the rebirth crystals, so that they'll have enough gems to buy the shards.
Well, that's something I've talked to a couple people about. Is they've just kind of tanked the in-game economy with Tapjoy, so they have to do something to offset the sales. I mean, I don't understand how the payouts work with Tapjoy, but it can't be anything that's going to offset what we would be spending.
Yeah, but Tapjoy, I think, gets a lot of the non-spenders to spend a little.
That's definitely true.
And they're getting the ad revenue from just all the videos that the free-to-play watch. So I think it kind of balances. This fixes
if
partially.
anyone else other than hate mail is suffering from any other sort of addiction, 1-800-662-4357 is the national addiction hotline. So feel free to give that a call.
M4 bought them too.
Yeah. M4, same thing.
I have not, but
You will,
can DM me
though.
the number.
You will. You will before.
You're a bad influence, no?
Yeah, only you two guys bought these. No one else.
Exactly. No one, not a single other owl did. Before you guys go, I need help adjusting, especially you, Hawkguy, because you have an RB5, and I know you're an enthusiast. Is on Captain Cold, what would you say for a legendary order? Because I'm really torn on him.
Give me just a second. I'm watching one of those lovely Tapjoy ads while we're recording, so let me just get out of here real quick.
I have very much enjoyed the Jeff Goldblum Raid Shadow Legends ads that
they
on DCL.
It's so funny. I was gonna put that video in our chat and just bring that up because they do great marketing.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, lots of their commercials are pretty funny or entertaining, or have scantily clad models on there. Just they always have something that gets your attention. And the Jeff Bloom commercials is pretty funny. Like, they're definitely spending some money.
All right, so I got them pulled up now. I'm going to do this kind of weird. I think it's 4 you probably leave for last. That's the applying extra cooldown to the second ability.
That's actually what I had. That's my early thoughts.
Just because, A, it's random, so, it's not going to be on who you want it on necessarily. You aren't going to stop Barda from throwing her taunt around, guaranteed. That kind of makes it dead last for me.
I had his 3 first, because I always seem to open with that, but I was a little torn on it.
The other 4 are all very close.
Yeah.
If you have terrible RNG like Hate Mail does, I think I might put his leader further down the...
I actually put that 4th personally because I don't use him as leader almost ever. I use him off lead a lot though, even in Siege.
Yeah, I mean the thing is he has really good buff purge if you can get speed downs on, even if you just ignore him his leader.
Yeah.
He can open up purging 4 buffs from everybody. So, I would probably agree with you. I would probably do his 3 and then his 1.
Yeah.
I just really appreciate the control coming from the 1.
Yeah, I had 3, 1, 2, 5, and then 4 last. And I put L4 as his ideal.
That's probably where I'd agree with you. I'd agree with 3, 1, 2, 5, 4.
Wasn't sure if I was crazy, but after using him a lot more this Siege so far.
But I mean, the legendary on all of his...
Maybe not for that reason.
There's definitely another reason. It's probably all those rebirth crystals you just bought.
Yeah. I literally bought them while we were playing or talking here. Okay, so let's go back. I think Wally pretty much stayed the same, but let me see what I had for him. So let's check him out real quick. Wally, there he is. Okay, so I had his 2 first. I think everybody probably agrees on that one.
Yep.
Then I had his... I think I had his 4 next.
I think you make a strong case for that. The gift of speed is just the bread and butter of his kit.
Yeah.
When you're bringing him, you aren't really bringing him for damage.
And then I had his 1 next, and I felt like L3 was his kind of sweet spot.
I would agree with you there. I think you can make a decent case for his 3, just because that additional crit damage can make a big difference in how much damage he's dealing.
Yeah, that's the one I was kind of torn on, was his 3. Because it does seem like it's pretty good. Anybody have a take on his 3 over his 1? I'll take that as a no.
No.
I mean, they're pretty close to being even.
Yeah.
The 50% chance to strike twice, it actually feels like it's more than 50%.
It really does, because it even works for me regularly.
I did actually have a question for you. Have you guys reached out to Reeves to see if it's a bug on Wally where he can only cheat death the first time and not just any time he has 5 speed ups?
I think that's supposed to be the case, but I'll double check.
Because of the way it's worded, it makes it makes it sound like if he has 5 speed ups, he has that chance, or that he should cheat death. So,
I don't think so. I think he.
Because usually it would say, if Wally has 5 speed ups when reaching 0 HP for the first time,
Yeah, maybe
then it would say
is,
perks
but
for in-game 30% true heal.
everything seemed. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a bug. This.
And they'll probably just pull Garth with it and say that that's how it's working.
Exactly. I mean, this has been one of the least buggy months, I think. Assuming these aren't completely wrong, there isn't any major bugs on the new characters for a change.
Yeah, I mean, my only worry is their damage
Yeah.
potentially being bugged.
Okay, so I think that's everything. Anybody have any final thoughts before we sign off?
Shout out to Ernie Banks. Get well soon, Ernie Banks.
That's Burger's dog for anybody that didn't pay attention to the first part of the podcast where we mentioned where Burger was for this.
The actual Ernie Banks, I passed away in 2015, I think. So, but...
we hope that he's doing well too in heaven.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Hawkguy. As always, Zubaz.
Not a problem.
Always fun.
Thanks, guys. And Hawkguy, if you can send me some video, I will appreciate it to add to.
I will get on that.
Thank you, sir.
I was watching some guy stream with a dinosaur on it, trying to get advice on how to beat a hard team. And he just kept yelling at me because I wasn't gear 11. You know where you can get great advice without being lectured for not gearing your characters? By becoming a Patreon. It's Cheetah-licious. Become a Patreon today and get special perks like Patreon-only episodes, early reviews, and content based on your requests. Just go to patreon.com/WROL broadcast.